What's going on? My name is Jordan Syatt. I am a strength coach, a nutrition coach, and in this video, I'm going to talk to you about training like a Victoria's Secret model. Before we dive into this video of Rosemarine DeCook, I hope I'm pronouncing her name properly, I got people asking me to make a video specifically showcasing how women train. I've done several before of Matt Rife, of Mark Wahlberg, and some other very famous people. If you want to see those videos, you can. They're on my channel. But in this video, I wanted to highlight a female and her training as per requests. Harper's Bazaar did a whole feature on this woman, Rosemarine DeCook, who is a Victoria's Secret model. Let's see what her workout looks like. Really quick, just want to clarify, I don't know Rosemarine. I also don't know Joe, her trainer. I don't do these videos to throw shade or hate on people. I really try and make them uplifting. I just want to give very helpful, objective advice to help you achieve your goals based on what they're saying here.
So basically we have mini band glute walks here. Rose says to stay down, keep her toes square. It's just a nice, easy primer, warm-up exercise. It's kind of get her engaged and get those glutes working and then legs working in general.
Yeah, so this is just starting off with a warm-up. The mini band walks are totally fine. It's a great exercise for your glute medius, sort of like your outer butt. Now she's going into some jumps, some mini plyometrics with it as well. Just a nice standard warm-up exercise. Nothing crazy to say about it.
All right, gonna hit the sled. Now, you always want to make sure the form is of high quality. You don't have to do a lot of this. You get that core engaged, so you have to have a quality plank position. And then Rose is driving through those legs. A strength component here. So sled's one of those favorites and won't add any sort of unnecessary bulk.
There's sort of a lot to unpack in this very short, like 10-second clip. Number one, I love sled pushes. They are amazing, phenomenal exercise, especially for your strength, for your conditioning. They're really an overall full body workout. I really like that it looks like she's starting the workout with this very heavy sled push, getting some strength in there. A lot of people, especially women, think that heavy strength training is gonna make them overly bulky. And the truth is it's just not gonna happen, especially if you're not eating to get bulky. If you wanna get big and bulky and build huge muscles, you gotta eat for it. And if you're strength training and lifting heavy, you're not gonna get big and bulky, especially if you're not eating like it. I love that he's having a Victoria's Secret model lift heavy. This is great. Another great benefit of the sled push specifically is that there's no eccentric component. There's nothing wrong with eccentric lifting, but it will make you very sore. By starting off with this and going very heavy here, he's gonna limit how sore she gets, which might be helpful depending on how often she's working throughout the week. I don't have any of that information, but it is a really good exercise from that perspective. He did say something at the end that I thought was a little bit weird. He's like, you can do this without adding a lot of extra bulk. It seems a little bit fear-mongery to me and almost goes against the idea of lifting heavy. You can lift heavy, especially as a woman, and not worry about getting bulky as long as your calories are in check. More on that later.
All right, so the setup, Rose wants to make sure she has a good base, slight bend in those knees, similar to how we had with the band. Making a wave up and down with the rope. So that heart rate's gonna be up, but make sure that posture is good. But conditioning, especially for anybody that wants to get in very good shape, that resting heart rate needs to be of high quality.
There's nothing wrong with battle ropes. As of right now, it looks like the workout's all over the place, starting off with the band walks and then going to the sled push really heavy, and now going into conditioning with the battle ropes. They're all great exercise, but it seems very random. If I was organizing this workout, the ropes would be at the end of the workout, and he's talking about doing conditioning right now, which is great, but the conditioning should be at the end of the workout. The heavy strength stuff should be at the beginning.
For med ball sleds, basically, it's an ability for her to work her core. We just want to get the core involved in everything because we don't want to do excessive isolation and exercises and integrate other full body patterns so we're able to get more bang for our buck.
Again, this is another really great example of a phenomenal exercise, but seeming like it was just sort of thrown in there randomly. Med ball throws are fantastic, especially from a explosive power rate of force development perspective. They are a great core exercise, but this is something I would do closer to the beginning of the workout and definitely before a heavy sled push, right? Like if you do a heavy sled push, if you've ever done those, they're exhausting. And when you're doing something like a med ball throw, you're using a lot of force. You're trying to improve your speed, your rate of force development, and your power. You don't want to do that when you're fatigued. You want to do that before you're fatigued. A little bit confused by the ordering, but all of the exercises thus far are great exercises, just seem a little bit out of place.
So basically, we're gonna have two aspects here. Rose comes down control, basically a step off, sticks that landing so she can absorb the force, then create it again quick. Jumping is often overlooked for the benefits it can have in the body. So she has to absorb force and then be able to create it quick as she looks to explode through the ground and then up.
I'll start with what I agree with. I agree that jumping is often overlooked. It's an incredibly important form of exercise for so many different reasons, not least of which athletic performance, bone density, power, balance. There's a lot that goes into it. However, this is another example of, number one, it seeming out of place. This should have been done immediately after the band walks at the very beginning. This should not be done after heavy strength training, after the sled push pushes. This should not be done like this late in the workout, and especially this specific type of a jump. This is very high-end plyometric training, very, very difficult on the body, not just on your joints and your tendons and ligaments, but also on your central nervous system. She's doing something called a depth jump. This is literally the most advanced, or among the most advanced types of jumps, where first she jumps down and has to absorb the force and then re-jump onto another box. You're putting a huge amount of stress on your body doing this. And again, stress isn't a bad thing. Stress is really good as long as you're at the capability, the athletic capability, the strength, the power capabilities to do this. And I would not recommend doing it this late in the workout. And I also probably wouldn't recommend doing it for this many sets and reps. He wrote 5 sets of 10. That is a fuck ton. If you look at the workouts of the world's most elite Olympic athletes, oftentimes the most amount of jumps they'll do in a single workout is between like 10 to 25 jumps per workout. And they're taking a lot of rest between them. And again, they're doing them at the beginning of the workout. To do 50 jumps this late in a workout after strength training, and there's like still more than half the video to go, so there's a lot more going on. For me, this is the most concerning thing I've seen thus far. It's just a lot of volume and a lot of intensity in a very, very difficult movement that has a high risk of injury. This is something I would say for people who have a very strong base in terms of their strength training, in terms of their athletic development. And again, I would do it at the beginning of the workout, not when you're already fatigued.
So jump rope, an easy, simple tool that you have around the crib or at the gym, but use this in various different ways.
So this is honestly, it's just very odd to me. Now there's even more jumping. All right, so it went from a very high intensity box jump now to jump roping. The jump rope would have made a wonderful warm up. And by the way, like, she's a badass jump roper. She's very fucking good at jump roping. She can do double unders. She's moving like, she moves like a boxer. Like she's flowing, she's almost dancing with it. It's very impressive. And again, I'm not hating on her, and I'm also not hating on Joe. This is more just my opinion based off of what I'm seeing. It doesn't make sense to have jump rope here. I'm wondering if the editors of the video, if they actually stuck to what the workout was, like the order the workout was written in, because this makes no sense to me that in the middle of the fucking workout, there's jump rope right here. If that's how Joe designed it, I would love to hear his reasoning for it, but based on my experience spending well over 15 years in the fitness industry, going to school for this makes no sense to me at all. And I couldn't imagine how dead her legs would be at this point in the workout after the sled pushes and the band walks and the 50 jumps and the med ball throws, and now going into this and still half the video left.
So we're doing this for conditioning, do this in between rounds, in between sets of either strength or band work, things of that nature, just to keep.
Okay, so he did just clarify, I should have kept listening. He said he'll do this in between sets of strength work. Not a fan. When you're doing strength, you should focus on strength, and when you're doing conditioning, you should focus on conditioning. Now, the cool part about this is clearly it's working, right? Like, she's doing great, she looks fantastic, she's a working model, she's a very, very famous model, so clearly it's working. But what I want you to keep in mind is she's clearly a very high-level athlete. Just because it works for her doesn't mean it's gonna work the same for you, and I'll talk more about this a little bit later on in the video. When you're doing strength training, I don't want you to be resting by doing jump rope or another cardio activity. I want you to do heavy strength and rest. Maybe some mobility, maybe some light walking, but you do strength and then rest. And then later on in the workout or on another day and you're doing conditioning, focus on conditioning. But don't try and combine them into one, because you end up missing out on a lot of the benefits. You're actually probably not gonna make as much progress as you'd like.
Okay, so common misconception oftentimes is that weights will bulk you up, but there's a huge difference between strength and muscle building.
I could not love that anymore. This is something I talk about a lot, and many people get confused by it. Joe hit the nail on the head. There's a huge difference between building strength and building muscle. Building muscle is obviously getting your muscles bigger and adding more size to them. Building strength is your muscle's ability to generate force. And I love that he has Rose Marine heavy deadlifting here. And this is a wonderful deadlift variation. It's a landmine deadlift. Looks like she can even go heavier. Either way, I love that he has her focusing on this. Again, it's just weird timing in the workout. I would have rather seen this at the beginning of the workout. It should have went like band walks, jumps, then these landmine deadlifts, and then maybe later on sled pushes and conditioning after that. I love this exercise. It's amazing. And I love that he has her lifting heavy. And I love that both Joe and Rose Marine are ambassadors for women lifting heavy. I think we need more of it, especially because many women will often think that lifting heavy is going to bulk them up. And she's the perfect example that that's not the case as long as your nutrition is in check. Again, I love seeing this. It's just from the workout order perspective, it just doesn't make sense.
I like to work a few different things. All these moves should flow into each other to make the overall movement high quality. So the arm is long, so the abs stay engaged. And when she steps through, that makes sure she's stepping controlled and not arching her back through the movement.
I really like Joe's focus on technique. I think it's really important. I'm not a big fan of this exercise. This is actually the first exercise I've seen him do that I don't really like. And it doesn't mean it's a bad exercise. It doesn't mean no one should do it. For me personally, it's overly complicated. He's doing a lunge combined with a shoulder press combined with a core rotation. There's so much going on here. Never mind how complex and difficult it is. If you're trying to load your legs, it's too light because you can do a shoulder press with it. So if you can shoulder press what you're doing with your legs, then it's clearly not heavy enough to actually stimulate your legs, whether it's strength or muscle growth. And then if she can do a core rotation with it, then it's definitely too light for her shoulders because your abs are going to be not as strong as generally as much as you can press. Every aspect of this doesn't make much sense, especially from a strength perspective. If this was conditioning, I could potentially see an argument here. If this was just movement quality overall, just to go through different movement patterns without worrying about lifting heavy, I could also see an argument being made here. Coming off his talk around the importance of building strength, I would imagine he thinks this is a great strength building exercise, and in my opinion, it's very overrated, it's overly complex, and actually you could be spending your time doing something much more productive, just like a regular lunge, and then doing a regular shoulder press, and then later on in the workout doing a core exercise, rather than trying to combine them all into one.
Depending upon the intensity levels that we could go, whether it's super hard, moderate, or easy, it can serve from anything technically as a recovery workout to more something as higher intensity.
So this makes sense. Now he has her doing the Airdyne bike, the air resistance bike. It's fucking brutal. It looks like he has her doing 10 sets of 15-second sprints followed by 30 seconds rest. That's devastating. Like, that makes me want to throw up just thinking about doing it. It's a wonderful exercise. It's a wonderful form of conditioning. If she can do that, huge props to her, because that is not easy at all. And this is done at the right time in the workout. This is when conditioning should be done. And if she's doing this, she doesn't need the extra jump rope. She doesn't need any of the extra conditioning that she did in there. And this actually brings me back to the box jumps, which I should have mentioned. A lot of people treat jumping, whether it's box jumps, depth jumps, broad jumps, high jumps, whatever it is, they treat that like cardio. Jumping isn't cardio. Jumping should be treated as an exercise in and of itself, specifically to improve your speed, power, rate of force development. If you're doing jumps for sets of 10, 15, 20 plus, you're doing it wrong and you're setting yourself up for injury. It's one of the most common places people injure themselves. Going back to the bike, this bike is great because I've never seen anyone get injured on this bike, ever. There's no impact force. It's so great for your joints, your tendons, your ligaments, and you can get a very, very high level, high intensity cardiovascular workout. So that's the video. I think you get the gist of my thoughts. Overall, I think the exercise selection, by and large, was a very good exercise selection. The structure of the workout, I'm not a fan of. The sets and reps, I wasn't the biggest fan of, except for the strength work. Like the sled pushes was great, the landmine deadlift was great, everything else seemed a little bit too high volume. I think that their chemistry was great, they got along really well, I liked both their energies, and huge props to both of them for putting this video out. We all know how negative and toxic the internet can be, so hopefully this doesn't come across as toxic, more as just as my objective viewpoint on what you can do. The final thing I'll leave you with, which is what I was talking about before, many women are scared of getting big and bulky from lifting heavy, and it's not gonna happen. You're not gonna get big and bulky as long as you lift heavy properly and also keep your calories in check. And a lot of people don't know how many calories they should eat. If that's you and if you're struggling to figure out how many calories you should eat, I have a free calorie calculator. The link is in the description. You sign up, I'll send you the free calorie calculator, and it will tell you exactly how many calories you need to eat to lose fat sustainably and enjoyably. Thank you for watching. I hope you liked the video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you don't already. Have a wonderful day. I'll talk to you soon.